When you're 6 years old, you remember how small those desks were? It was almost like sitting on the floor. My teacher looked like she was 12 feet tall. She picked up my paper and she said, "Oh my gosh, Deborah, there are no such things as purple trees." And I swore at that time I was not going to use that purple crayon ever again.
Deborah Ann Baker is a PhD in counseling psychology, a best-selling author, and award-winning fine artist. Her work is a bridge between emotion, creativity, and the divine feminine. Our thoughts and our words create our reality, and you're taking them on a retreat where they can erase that and paint a new reality.
I love transformation, and when I see it happening, it just lights me up. I was diagnosed with cancer. I heard a whisper, "Go paint. Go paint." In that process, I found love that I was looking for. I loved myself. And all of that glitter started to happen from that point. And that's how Abstract Intuitive Impressionism was born.
Hi, and welcome to Radical TV. I'm Shawna Smith. Joining me here today is Deborah Ann Baker. She is a PhD in counseling and psychology and is a visionary force in the world of contemporary fine art. As an independent, intuitive, abstract impressionism fine art artist, instructor, exhibitor, and speaker, Deborah creates from a place beyond the ordinary, where color becomes emotion, intuition becomes language, and art becomes soul. A best-selling author and award-winning artist, she is a soul-led visionary devoted to awakening the divine feminine through creativity, intuition, and transformation. Hello, Deborah, and welcome.
Hi, Shawna. It's such a pleasure to be here with you today, and I am looking forward to meeting all of your folks.
Yes, and we are looking forward to meeting you. And I can already see some art on the walls behind us. So clearly you are an artist. And I love it when people put their paintings and art around so we can see it. We get a firsthand look at some of the things that you have done. Tell us a little bit about yourself and how you got into doing what you're doing, because it sounds so incredibly fascinating to me, Deborah.
Oh, thank you. Well, if you can imagine, take a little journey to the past when you're 6 years old and you're in school, you have a brand new box of 16 Crayolas because today is art day. And who knows what can happen when it's art day, correct? We were told to draw trees. Oh my gosh, I just closed my eyes and I saw all these colors and all these trees. And I picked up my purple crayon and just drew purple trees, purple trees, purple trees. And the whole excitement was just bam into those purple trees. The teacher came up to each individual, showed their work, and commented on it. And, when you're 6 years old, you remember how small those desks were? It was almost like sitting on the floor. My teacher looked like she was 12 feet tall. She came over to me and she picked up my paper and she said, "Oh my gosh, Deborah, there are no such things as purple trees." Oh my goodness.
Oh,
I didn't know what to do. I just
mm.
everything drained out of me and I shrunk in that chair. I just wanted to slink out and get away because all the kids were laughing and making fun and pointing and those kind of things as kids do. And so I didn't really understand what had happened. I didn't understand what was wrong. What I did was wrong. And on my way home, I remember I was walking and I jumped a puddle. But I had taken that painting and I had folded it so small and I put it in my pocket. I also put in the purple crayon in my pocket. And as I was walking home and I skipped over that puddle, I could feel that in my pocket. And I put my hand in there and I broke the crayon.
Mm-hmm.
And I swore at that time I was not going to use that purple crayon ever again.
Mm.
So what happens with that when you're a child and you don't know how to express your feelings? You don't know what's happening in the world. Only thing you know is from this day forward, I will never let that happen again.
Mm.
And so later on, how that translates is, okay, I wasn't good enough. I did the wrong thing. Somehow I didn't follow the rules and I need to follow the rules. I must be perfect. I want to be loved. I want to be accepted. So then all of that comes to a head and it carries on through your entire life. So everything you do is filtered by those emotions of that'll never happen to me again.
Mm.
So as time progressed, I was in elementary school. There was, after being, Miss Perfectionism and getting everything right and only saying something if I knew it was correct, I walked away with 5 medals out of 7 at an assembly. I had all the medals around my neck, and as I was walking off the stage, I could hear those medals clanking. And the audience, of course, parents, and students, everybody, teachers in the audience, clapping and applauding. And I remember as I walked down the steps, gee, it's nice to have all these, but you know what? I don't feel the way I thought I'm supposed to feel. I was empty inside. So all of that didn't give me what I was looking for, which was the love and the acceptance of myself, literally.
Mm.
So later on in life, that carried on. So in college, I had to get a PhD. I had to have my papers published.
Mm.
I had to have everything perfect. And even when I was in New York and I was presenting my paper to, I don't know, 3,000 peers, I still got folks telling me, oh, great work and all this kind of stuff, and still feeling that empty, aching feeling inside. So a little later on, I was diagnosed with cancer. That's another devastating blow when you're sitting in the doctor's office and comes in and said, well, I have some news for you. And I just went spaced out. I didn't hear anything. I I was numb. And when I got home, I had to read the notes to find out what happened. So I had the surgery. I went through that. And during the healing process, I heard a whisper, go paint, go paint. And here I am in my bed and, it's stitches and drugged, swollen face and didn't want to move. And so I went downstairs to paint. And I have been painting for a long time, off and on, putting it away, picking it up, putting it away. And when I worked as a counselor, I worked with cancer patients and I used art therapy as a form of healing. So go down to my garage, pull out some paint. It's an old canvas, with all kind of spider webs and everything on it, and brushed it off and began to paint. So I picked up that brush, dabbed it in paint, and I just went right across the canvas. It was black.
Mm.
And I did another black swatch. Then I picked up the color red And I went red, bing, 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 splatter, hit, dab, because that's exactly what I was feeling. All that anger, all that despair, all that I can't breathe kind of emotion came out. And then I used magenta, and then I used a couple of other colors. And I stood back and I looked at it. It was an entire mess, absolute mess. But it was me. It was me at that time. And so I left it alone and I went back. And then the next day I got up and I did another painting. This time I sat with the ugly painting of the ugly me and said, okay, so what is it you want to tell me? What is it you want to show me? What are we going to create today? And then I just started picking up the paint and just moving like kind of a wash of a background and then other colors coming in as I was feeling. And I chose the colors that I was feeling and putting it up there. And then I looked at it and I go, okay, well, that looks a little better than that. Here's what I'm feeling now, but what is it you want to reveal to me? And then all of a sudden I started to see the shapes coming together. And so then I just started painting those shapes and taking a step back and saying, okay, is there more? Oh yeah, I like this. Okay. Well, I don't like that. What can I do here? What can I mix? What colors? What if I just added purple over the whole thing? And so that process I did every day, and that process freed me of all of those emotions and everything that I was feeling up until that point. And what I realized was I was really connecting back to myself, to my authentic self, and what I call my divine intelligence that was smothered. And in that process, I found love that I was looking for. I love myself. And all of that glitter started to happen from that point. And that's how abstract intuitive impressionism was born. At that time, I didn't know what the name was. I was just doing it. And when I sat back with it one day and I said, what do I call this? Because, I was starting to teach other people the process. And that's what came out of it was abstract intuitive impressionism. And then after working with groups and showing them the process and telling them my stories, they said, hey, why don't we get together and as a group go through this and you could tell us your stories and what you've learned and we can go from there. And I said, okay, you guys willing to do that? And so I did that with a couple of groups and that led to the Revelare retreat. Now, the retreat, first of all, revelare is the Latin word for, you ready? The great reveal. And so I got so excited when that name came to me. In the process of the retreat, I have 10 to 15 women coming together. I wanted to keep the group small so it could be intimate, it could be safe. And so we could really get to the heart of things. So it's in the Pacific Northwest, beautiful country, clean air. That was one of the first things I noticed when I moved here is how clean the air was and how clean everything around where you drive around, and it was very clean and fresh. I can just smell the evergreen trees. So the process of the Revelare workshop, retreat, we use a number of things. We use journaling. We use painting. We use a lot of play, a lot of dance and music. And every evening we have a creative sacred circle with fire, and we talk about what happened during the day and where we are and where we're moving forward. So it's 4 days and 3 nights
Hmm.
in this process.
Kind of explained it, but what can people expect when they work directly with you?
So I have one coming up in November in the Pacific Northwest. It's looking like the second week of November, actually. So first of all, when you arrive, at, it's a place in the Pacific Northwest. It's near the water. It has meditation trails. It has a fire pit.
Hmm.
Has nice accommodations. Food is exquisite. Come in, you're welcomed. That first evening, we have a circle where
Hmm.
we come together. And in that circle, we talk about what brought us together.
Hmm.
And each participant is then given a journal. And it's explained about how to use the journal. And I give journal prompts.
Mm-hmm.
And then the next morning, we come in fresh and we start off with a little meditation just to bring us all together. Then we put on some music and we kind of move around and giggle and laugh, whatever happens to come up. And then we start with what I call throwing down paint, because it's a process where you're just allowed, just like that first time when the whisper came that said, go paint. That's it. Just paint. Pick
Mm-hmm.
up any color you feel good about and just start painting.
Mm-hmm.
And then we talk about what happens with that process. Then later on, we come back to it and we see if we want to add anything, take anything back, or whatever. So this is the beginning point of who I am now.
Mm-hmm.
And then we go through the process of there's another gathering, and then we have other experiences that we go through, and then we go back to painting. Then in the evening, we have the closing circle.
Mm-hmm.
And then the next day, we create a different painting.
Mm-hmm.
And this painting is the new you,
Mm-hmm.
that connection, because the whole retreat, in my perspective, will bring the person that has felt like they've achieved everything in life. I know so many beautiful, intelligent, very creative women that have made it to the top of their careers and still feel empty, just as I did. Artists that have all the skills and can perfectly lay down paint, but yet something's missing, that may be stuck and don't know which way to go with their art, or maybe going through some kind of lifestyle change, whether it be divorce, illness, or any other kind of situation in their lives. And they're looking for peace. They're looking for that place of security again, of their own expression. And in today's world, things are pretty chaotic in almost every aspect of folks' life. And so this retreat will actually bring you to a point, takes you out of your environment and puts you in an environment that is cohesive to safety and peace and expression and connecting with your authentic self, connecting with that divine intelligence, that spark of creativity where you're just allowed to be as wild and crazy
Mm-hmm.
or as quiet and meditative as you want to be. And
Wow.
once that transition happens, there's no going back.
Mm-hmm.
Now, science is starting to back this up with quantum physics.
Mm-hmm.
Quantum physics talks about everything being frequency. So if you think about Every thought, every word, every belief, every story we tell ourselves vibrates at a certain frequency. And if we're vibrating like this and we're in the world can only bring in what we match, like attracts like.
Mm-hmm.
People say, oh, no, you're wrong because opposites can attract. And I said, yes, opposites can attract. So opposites can attract, but they come together so they become cohesive or they depart.
Mm-hmm.
Only like attracts like
Mm.
in frequency.
Wow.
And then in quantum entanglement, it explains all that further. That when two particles come together, whether it doesn't matter the distance, but when they're in the same frequency, pop, things happen.
Yeah.
So we are quantumly entangled. Break it down to bring it. How does that work with me, Deborah? Well, it works because we are quantumly entangled with the story we tell ourselves every
Yep.
single day. We are
Mm-hmm.
quantumly entangled with our emotions every single day. Now, years ago, I met Candace Perk, and she wrote the book Molecules of Emotion. And if you really want to know about how the brain works and the peptides and how it's tied to emotions and how you change your emotions and you can change your whole physical reality.
Yeah.
And then that, like if you just take a moment for folks in the audience, just take a moment and close your eyes and take a deep breath in and just feel where you are. Now take a moment and feel joy or feel love. Can you actually feel like a little cascade of tingle that moves from your head to your toes? Guess what? Your brain just turned on. The
Oh,
chemicals got the reaction. The chemicals responded to the thought. Now, that was a positive experience. Now, think about what chemicals, what smorgasbord of chemicals do you create with the stories you tell that weren't even weren't even real,
yes.
weren't even real. And we have a tendency to do that. We
Mm-hmm.
don't even realize we're living in the story and we're not in a now present moment.
Mm-hmm.
And so in this retreat, so not only do you get to connect with that one now moment and begin to change the chemistry in your brain, and then that actually is what creates longevity and youthfulness.
Mm.
And so folks leave, and when they go back, their friends tell them, "Oh my God, you didn't have Botox, did you?" You know, because they go back looking younger and
Yeah.
feeling younger and empowered within themselves to be able to lead that kind of life.
Yes. Our thoughts and our words create our reality. And you're taking them on a retreat where they can erase that and paint a new reality. And it's obviously showing by how much better they feel by their facial expressions and the lightness probably on them. I mean, this is so incredibly amazing. And what a fun way to do it.
Oh, absolutely. I am so turned on and so fired because I love transformation, and when I see it happening, it just lights me up. And that's why I, I am compelled to do this. I want to support and love people into their own beingness.
Yeah. Yeah. Who comes to your retreat and who do you like to work with specifically?
All right. There is a vetting process in that there is an application when you apply. And that's because I want to make sure that our circle comes together in cohesiveness
Mm-hmm.
and that it's a right fit for everyone.
Mm-hmm.
It's a simple questionnaire. It doesn't go into a lot of depth, but I it gives me more information to work with and how to set it up. And
Yeah.
so that's like the first step, for me anyway. The people that come, as I said before, people come for all different reasons, but they come because they're like something's missing in their life, or they want to. Where's the peace and where's the love in my life?
Mhm.
Love is another subject, that we talk about
Mhm.
because when you look at frequency and emotion and quantum entanglement, I mean, you could write volumes on what love is and how love is expressed. But to find that space within yourself where you can take that deep breath and say, "Oh my gosh, it's been a long time. And I found you again. I was never abandoned. I was never not good enough. I was never wrong. We make mistakes. And in painting, we make mistakes all the time, but that's the joy because we learn from the mistakes. We can cover it up. We could take it out. We could do negative painting. But in the whole process of painting is not any different than the process of living.
Mhm. Is there a specific type of person you love to work with, and who do you feel called to serve?
Usually the people that are attracted to this are like 40 to whatever in age. They have accomplished everything in life and feel like something's missing. It could be they're going through some kind of upset, chaos, health, whatever in their lifestyles, and they're looking to recreate themselves to
Mm.
really find out, maybe for the first time. Like my cancer was my signal, like, "Hey, Deb, get with the program, or you're not going to be here for very long." And
Mm.
so finding that place and coming to that place and revitalizing everything in your life is a treasure.
Yeah.
It's a
I,
treasure.
I want to go back to the voice when you heard that voice, I think is what you called it, that said, "Go paint." What was that?
To me, that's my authentic self. That's my divine intelligence that I put on the side. Some people call it intuition. Some people call it God. Some people call it the Holy Spirit. Whatever word you want to use for it. And when it whispers, it's truth. It's all it's always positive. It always engages you.
And forgive me if you answered this, but when did you realize that your own personal transformation needed to become your mission to help others?
That came about in the healing my healing process with cancer when I got
Mhm.
back to painting. And when I was going through that process, I felt um, a freedom. I felt a joy. I felt a connectedness. I felt for the first time in my life, I can be me. I can be me. I was in a marriage at the time. I was like 10 years into a marriage. And I have to tell you, he loved me in his own way, but I never felt loved.
Mm.
And I didn't understand why. If I can love so deeply, why didn't I feel loved?
Mm.
And so if I didn't feel love, if I didn't love myself, my body was attacking it. Was
Mm.
attacking. My body was attacking with the
Mhm.
cancer.
Mhm.
And so through this process with the abstract intuitive impressionism, I came to grips with all those aspects that what is what is love?
Mm.
Where does it stem? Where does it come from? Where does it flow? Where's creativity? Where does that come from? How is that expressed?
Mhm.
And so that's why I say it was the best thing that ever happened to me.
Mhm. Mhm.
because it stopped me in my tracks and it got me back to who I truly am. And so my husband at the time loved the mask I was wearing that was protecting itself, that was never going to be hurt again.
Mhm.
So she was Miss Perfect,
Mhm.
and she did all the things that were um, expected. And what I found was every time I moved out of that space and became authentic with myself a little bit, it was shut down.
Mm.
It was shut down.
And you mentioned that, you have clients that get home and people ask them if they've had Botox. Um, that's huge, right? Can you give me maybe another example, obviously no names, but of somebody who's gone through and the transformation that they experienced after your retreat?
I remember one story. A woman got back to me. Of course, we have after the retreat, we have a follow up call in a month, and then I have a community because we don't always create alone. That a community is a big part of this, of like, so that it's kind of like a little, hey, you're on your new path, but if you start to feel a little off kilter, here we are. We're supporting you. We're loving you into your greatness.
Wow.
So we have that aspect as well. So folks are telling me that artists that they've okay, so they come in and they have the skills, and they're artists, and they heard about this retreat, and oh, okay, let's go do this. And then because of the freedom and the self-expression and the connection, what they're finding is they loosen up a little bit in their skills. They
Mm.
have the skills, and what was missing was that connection. Because some artists can paint a beautiful painting of, let's say, a forest and a waterfall, beautiful scene, sparkling water, every detail's there, and when you look at it, it looks like a photograph.
Mm.
And so people look at it as a photograph, and it's nice. And if I want an accessory in my house, that could be a perfect painting. But
Mhm.
what they find is when they put themselves into it, they connect with the painting and put themselves into it, a whole nother dimension comes out.
Mm.
So not only does it looks like the perfect place, but you could actually start to feel what the artist was feeling. There's actually been a study that shows when people look at the difference in the two kinds of paintings, that the authentic painting will evoke much more in the brain, and the reaction in the brain than the one that looks like the accessory on the wall.
Mm.
So I have a number of people telling me that kind of story where they're selling more art, they're entering contests, and they're getting the recognition they've been
Mm.
looking for a long time. Because especially with art, once you realize that you may be learning a certain style, like a like if you're going to paint and you want to paint well, you study the masters, and then you developed your own style, and then you go from there. Part of developing that style is the connection to your soul or to your divine intelligence, whatever term you want to use. And in that, you create something like I did here. There's nothing like this on the face of the earth.
Mhm.
Nothing, nothing like it. I could tell you the whole story behind this. Uh, the idea that that eliminates all competition, gets rid of all those fears of not good enough, of there's too many people out there doing this, or there could be 100,000 ways to do something, or looking at color and hues. Once you start to see the color blue and you see all the different hues, we were talking earlier about the color the color blue and its hues, there's over 100 hues of every color and probably more. The more you play with painting, and not you discover even more. And so the idea of you maybe painting blue with maybe 3 or 4 hues, what if you did it with even more alive, to make sure your lights are lighter and your darks are darker, and the in between tells the story of whatever it happens to be. So I hear those kind of stories. I hear the stories about, I went home and I actually had enough courage to talk to my boss and tell them what I needed for me to do a better job. I hear that, oh gosh, I hear that people go back and take back their power in their relationships. And they tell me relationships fall away, new relationships come in. So
Wow.
there's such a mixture of stories that
Yeah.
come back
Yes. It's
because
incredible.
we're all different.
Yeah.
We all express differently.
Well, Deborah, tell us how, if someone's listening and they want to get connected with you today, how can they get in touch with you?
There is a link. It's links, LINKS thepurpletrees.com.
Mm.
That's the link. I also want to tell the listeners I have a surprise. Are you ready?
Yes.
Contact me and I will send you a digital print
Mm.
of an original painting that, if you wanted to, you could have a print made for yourself, or just as a reminder of the conversation today. Do contact me, do email me. I'd love to hear your stories. I read all of my emails, and I really want to reach out and support you in your journey into finding that space within yourself and living a soul-led life.
Wow. All right, Deborah Ann Baker, thank you so much for joining us here on Radical TV today.
Thank you for having me. And I am just so excited with the whole radical program, because it has given me the missing parts that uh, I had. The missing parts are the things I didn't know, and I didn't know that I didn't know,
Mhm.
and to bring me to the point of where I am today, and the courage to continue. I really appreciate that.
Yeah. And if someone was considering the Radiverse, what would you tell them about your experience?
I would just tell them, do it,
Yeah.
because it's another process of exploring and knowing and getting focused, and moving in the direction you want to go.
Yes. Oh, I could talk to you all day.
Well, let's have a glass of wine sometime.
Yes. Can we do that? Yes. Thank you. I look forward to that.